in a bit. Last time we kind of got to know Kanae slash. I know her last name starts with an M. But also Elisu is her name in the other world. Elise. We're gonna get to know her a little bit better, but it also seems like something has happened to her in the other world. So she's no longer human in that world. Can we, break the curse? I would think we could. But yeah, it's kind of body horror right now, so if you're squeamish about body horror, please leave. I'm a little squeamish too, and I especially didn't like the scene that turned her into the caterpillar, which was basically like a hentai kind of scene. But this part shouldn't be too bad. We'll see. I don't know. But she's definitely shocking, to say the least. But she might be trying to turn us into one of her. I can't fight it back any longer. Suzumu, I love you. Too much. Family. The caterpillar human slithered my way and looked down as if it were about to crush me. I want to welcome you into the family, Suzumu. She brought the sharp protrusion closer and closer to my chest. My mind went blank ages ago. If I were to laugh, would all this turn into one big practical joke? That face helped me force an awkward smile. That thought helped me force an awkward smile onto my face.
Senpai.
Minobe. I don't get what's going on here. It took everything I had just to stand and stagger away, let alone ask her that. But neither my face nor my words can conceal the revulsion I felt. She must have felt hurt and angered. I knew it. I knew you could never accept this tainted body. But I can't answer you. Because I don't know what's happening to me either. I want to welcome you to the family. To Caterpillar Land. I want to cover you from head to toe. With the same caterpillar spots as me. So we can be a pair. I saw the tip of her tube oozing mucus, tinged with a repulsive hue, and let out the shrillest scream of my life. I fell on all fours and started crawling away as fast as I could. I had to get out of there. If I didn't, and that thing got me, I'd... Haha. So this really was a bad dream. Yes, this was all a dream. Hadn't I already known that from the start? You can't escape. This is my wonderland. Give it up, Suzumu. You're mine. Minobe laughed at my sad state as I pathetically clawed at the door. She threw her head back, took a deep, deep breath, and filled her cheeks. I screamed again when I felt long hair spray across me. No, it wasn't hair. It was like white floss. I understood this was silk, caterpillar silk. Minobe was shooting thin yet solid strands at me, trying to wrap me up like a cocoon. Oops. I couldn't break it, no matter how much I struggled. I felt my body being constricted by the silk as I tried to resist it.
怯えなくていいよ、スズム。
Don't be scared, Suzumu.
まあでも無理な話だよね。
But I suppose that'd be asking the impossible.
先輩は何がしたいんですか？
What do you want, Minobe?
スズムにブルブルビクビクうずいて
I want to take all
綺麗
these...
な独特模様が浮き出す。
I want to take all these twitching lumps with these beautiful layered spots.
スズムの全身にくまなく全部に
Until your whole body is covered in them.
スズムの綺麗なところにも汚いところにも恥ずかしいところにも全部
Where you're beautiful, where you're soiled, and even the places you're embarrassed to show. All of it.
そんなもので全身を刺されたら
But I'd die if you stabbed me that
死んじゃいま
much.
す。
結構痛いからね。
Yeah, it hurts real bad.
でも下手に抵抗するとその方がかえって痛いよ。
But it gets even
おとなし
worse.
くしてた方がいいかな。
It gets even worse if you try to fight back. So you should just sit back and let it happen. Don't get me wrong, though.
進む。私は誰が家族でもいいわけじゃないの。
I don't want just anybody in my family.
そういうクズもいるだろうとは思うよ。家族が増やせれば誰でもいいっていうクズも。
Though I know there's scum that would do that, though. Trash who will take anyone just to make their family bigger.
でも私はこれがとても神聖なちぎりにきっと違いないと思ってるから。
But in my case, the new family member I see as something absolutely sacred, like a vow.
大好きなスズム以外の誰も考えなかったんだよ。
There's no one I could think of but you, my beloved Suzumu. Taken at face value, her words were a beautiful confession of love. That one should be honored to receive. But who could believe a declaration like that when it was coming from a giant caterpillar binding you with silk?
スズムのこと初めて見た時から胸の中がうついてた。
You know, my heart's been aching for you ever since I saw you.
私は一目惚れなんて少女漫画の中のことだけだと思ってたけれど、
I used to believe love at first sight was something for fairy tales and manga.
あるんだね。本当に
But look at that, it really does exist.
君を見て私はずっと恋に胸が苦しい夜を過ごしたんだよ。
After I met you, these failings for you tormented me night after night after night.
僕を一目惚れしてくれたのはすごく嬉しいです。
I'm happy you fell for me at first sight.
僕も先輩と話していて楽しかったし、一緒に過ごしてもっと一緒にいたいと思ったりもしました。
I enjoyed talking with you. I wanted to spend more time with you.
でもだからこそ相手の嫌がることなんてできないんじゃないですか。
But that's why I'd never want to hurt you. Don't you feel the same way?
こういう感情ってやっぱりけだものに通じるから、重欲って言うんだろうね。
This feeling, so this is carnal instinct.
大好きなスズムンだからこそスズムンの嫌がることなんてしたくないって気持ちもちろんあるよ。
I love you so naturally, a part of me would never do anything you didn't want.
じゃあ
Then,
でもね、そんなの関係なく大好きなスズムンも無理やり毒々芋虫にしてやりたいって。
but another part of me is dying to turn you into a noxious caterpillar and just doesn't care, no matter what you say.
そういう気持ちも抑えられないくらいに湧いてくるの。変だよね。変だと思う。
And that part of me is raging so hard that I can't hold it back. Strange, isn't it? I think so too.
全身に管を突き立てられて、いかにブリブリと気持ち悪いコブを作られるのって、すっごく辛いこと。
Getting stabbed with this thing from head to toe? Having these gross lumps well up right under your skin, it hurts. It really hurts.
それが分かってるはずなのに。
I know that.
それでもなお。
But yet I want to do it anyway.
私の汚らしいドロドロの管でブリブリとスズメの全身をガシ尽くしたい。
She's gone crazy. She wants to desecrate his body with that thing hanging out of her. Just when I thought I was finally getting through to her, her eyes glazed over, making it perfectly clear a sane conversation was far beyond her grasp. Just as she'd said, she was being controlled by carnal instinct and was completely lacking in reason. Humans were far from perfect. They all had desires that they were powerless to stop. Hunger, thirst, lust, for starters. There was no way Minobe would be reasoned with when she was enslaved by these emotions. All she wanted was one thing: to stab me over and over and desecrate my body with the ghastly caterpillar spots.
スズメのことが大好きだから。
Daisuke. I love you so much, Suzumu.
無理やりだけど無理やりじゃないの。
So though I'm forcing you, I'm also not.
スズメの覚悟が終わるまで私は待っててあげる。
I'll wait until you're ready for this. She caressed my face with a bewitching smile, then stroked my body from head to toe with a slimy protrusion. All of a sudden, everything shook with a rumble. The teaspoons rang on the table. Minobe's face froze and she looked around in confusion. There was again another rumble. It was stronger than the last one. Some dust fell from the ceiling. Minobe's face darkened.
何事ですか？
What's happening?
静かに。
Quiet. Minobe pressed a finger to my lips and slithered to the door. She opened the door and went outside. It was the perfect chance to escape, but I couldn't break free of the silk no matter how hard I tried. However, I could still roll in it. I had to hide somewhere until Minobe came to her senses. I rolled and crawled like a caterpillar myself, aiming for the door. When there were several loud thumps followed by the ground shaking, I could tell whatever was causing the shaking wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was the sound of a new terror far beyond the likes of Minobe. Those tremors felt like a giant's footsteps. Just when I was a hair's breadth away from escape, Minobe came back. She lifted me up and tossed me to the floor.
ごめんね、スズム。少しおとなしくしてて。
Sorry, Suzumu. Hold still for a bit.
あんな化け物。どこから。
Jeez, where'd that monster come from? Her face was stricken with worry. Minobe was more than enough of a monster herself at this point, yet here she was calling something else a monster. I couldn't doubt it any longer. The tremors were the source of a massive creature stomping about. Minobe locked the door, but that wouldn't do any good against something so gargantuan. She threw her head back, took another deep breath, and started spewing silk threads once again. She used it to block the door with spider webs. But that wasn't enough for her. She started creeping around the whole room. Before long, the whole room was covered in silk. As she did so, the monster outside finally reached the door. The entire room shook with a shockwave unlike any before. But Minobe's thread was sturdy. The doors didn't break no matter how much the room rumbled or how much dust fell from the ceiling.
スズメは私のもの。スズメは私のもの。
Suzumun's mine. Suzumun is mine. Minobe repeated that like a mantra as she kept circling the room, covering it with even more silk. Eventually, all I could see was silk. It was like a blizzard had passed through the room. Minobe just kept on going. She continued crawling around until eventually she started creeping across the walls and ceiling. Eventually, everything turned into pure white, a pure white womb made of silk.
誰にも邪魔はさせない。邪魔はさせないよ。
I won't let anybody get in my way. I won't let anybody get in my way.
スズメは私のもの。私のものなんだから。
Suzumu is mine. Suzumu is mine. Just then, the fiercest tremor yet shook, knocking Minobe off the ceiling. Uh-oh. And then I saw it. The sky, no, the ceiling, being torn and wrenched open by a massive black claw. The ceiling was torn off. Splinters fell everywhere. With that, a gaping wide hole to the sky was revealed. Uh-oh. What is that? A giant shadow stood against the purple sky looking down upon us. That monster was as big as a skyscraper. The disheveled black hair hung from it like a willow tree framed. Its razor-sharp claws lunged for me. Minobe knocked me aside and charged with black arms.
スズメは渡さない。渡さない！
I won't let you have Suzumoon. He's mine! And though she was a giant caterpillar, Minobe was still the same size as a human. She wasn't even as tall as the monster's fist. It was clear who was at a disadvantage here.
この
Damn you! Damn you! The monster let out an earth-shattering howl and a moan. Minobe must have stabbed the monster with her tube. But all it did was anger the giant. It swiftly grabbed Minobe and wrapped its gargantuan claws around her. The monster carried her up in the sky as though she were a doll.
この野郎！離せ！
Why, you? Let me go. I could hear Minobe's high-pitched voice in the black sky. Before long, agony started seeping into her cries. All of a sudden, her shouts vanished right as the sound of a branch snapping rang out. And with that, something came dripping down from above. They were crushed entrails, followed by Minobe's arm, torso, and head. It crashed right on the floor and rolled toward me. And though she'd been reduced to a solely head, Minobe was still conscious.
先輩
Minobe!
はい。
I love you. A single tear leaked from her eye, and with that, her life came to an end. Suddenly, a thumb as thick as a log came down and squished her head flat like a quail egg. Poor Minobe. We could have been a caterpillar. We could have been something. A giant hand picked me up next, taking me up to the sky. I felt like I was going up the first hill of a particularly tall roller coaster. Though I was scared out of my mind, I couldn't help but laugh my heart out. And when I reached the top of the sky, I saw the moon. That was the last moon I'd ever see. The last sight I ever saw in Wonderland. Do you get to go back to the real world? I woke up to find myself sweating and staring at the ceiling, my body contorted in an odd position. I felt like I'd just experienced the worst nightmare of my life, one that defied any explanation. The details had been so clear just moments earlier, but with every blink and wipe of my forehead, they faded further and further away. I took another look at the ceiling. It was the same wooden ceiling I'd gotten used to. I get the impression that I couldn't calm down unless I made sure of that. Minobe had had dreams of another reality, didn't she? What I felt was dissonance from that reality not connecting to this reality. But something like that couldn't possibly exist. That was a dream, and that was reality. I took a deep breath to calm down. I must have had that bizarre dream because I was conscious of the fact that Minobe was sleeping next door. That had to be it. That dream I'd only just been having. Minobe's arms, torso, and head all crushed and ripped to pieces. The dream connected to reality. The moonlight seeped in my room, revealing liberal splashes of blood painted all over. Scattered chunks of meat littered around. Among them included squash arms, a severed torso. And just like in my dream, Minobe's head crushed, lying right next to my pillow. I screamed at the top of my lungs and burst out of the room. I couldn't resist the fear engraved in my cells, shouting out to me to flee the scene from her death. Flee the scene of her death. It was only when I got outside that I realized I had to call for help.
誰か誰か
Tasukete. Help me. Anybody help me. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Though I was panicking, another part of me calmly assessed that I would be the prime suspect. I don't know what happened. I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't have killed her. After all, Minobe was in Kiko's room. There's no way she could be in mine. And how was I so sure that the mutilated corpse strewn across my room was Minobe's? Wasn't me. Couldn't be. I mean, there wasn't even a drop of blood on my hands, but all of that could wait. I had to call the police.
キコちゃん起きて
Wake up, Kiko. I pounded the door to room 201. My phone was in my room, but I'd be damned if I ever went back there. But perhaps because I'd been hitting too hard. The door fell off its hinges. Just as I began to worry, I'd broken it. The door fell into pitch-black darkness. I didn't have any idea how, but there it was. Apartment 201 was a black space with nothing inside it. There was no sound of the door hitting the ground. It was simply swallowed into the bottomless darkness and faded without a noise. Almost like they'd only built the apartment complex's halls and forgotten to build Kiko's apartment. It was only then I noticed what was wrong with the world. I was outside on the second floor of the complex. The complex, doors, windows, walls, floor, and rails were all there. All of them were normal. All of them were there. But everything else was gone. The roads, telephone lines, streetlights, houses lining the streets all vanished without a trace. Everything apart from this apartment complex had been painted over with pure darkness. Only the dim light of the fluorescent lamps illuminated the world. I believed that I had returned from the world of nightmares to the real world. Wait, the real world? Just then I heard footsteps approaching. Someone was heading up to the staircase to this floor. That someone was the shadow of a dark girl. A shadow so dark, not even the faint lamp could illuminate it. A moment later, recognition came to me. That bizarre figure with the long black hair and withered branches jutting out of her head had looked down on me in the nightmare world. Suddenly, something struck out from within the shadows. The doll, the famous Japanese doll that I'd seen somewhere. Pale arms were holding the small doll out from within the shadow. And with a plop, the tiny doll's head fell off. Its arms and torso broke and followed suit, scattering it at the shadow's feet. With that, the pale hands stuck out even further, and a girl emerged from the shadow. I didn't mean that she was the one projecting the shadow. I mean she literally walked out from within the shadow. I knew her. It was Toei Kurokami. She stepped toward me, trampling over the scattered doll, and spread her hands out as if to embrace me.
お前は
You
私のもの
are mine.
誰にも渡さない
I won't let anybody have you. Both Kurokami and the female shadow spread their arms and engulfed me. Is that the end of Kanae's chapter? This game's weird. And now there's gonna be another intro? So there's like an intro every section of this game? That was super short. I didn't watch the intro last time. I don't know if I should watch it this time, if it's the same every time. Yeah, I probably won't watch it.
ピカピカマジックでみんなのお家をクリーンクリーン。
With my sparkle magic, I'm gonna make all your home squeaky clean.
お掃除プリンセスマジカルリリーが素敵な魔法でみんなをハッピーハッピーハッピー。
I, magical Princess Lily, will use my dazzling magic to make you all happy, happy, happy.
ハッロロー、お掃除の国のプリンセスマジカルリリーだよ。
Alright, I think I'm gonna stop here, because this is a whole new section. Hopefully I can remember this thing, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the start of a new route. So we go down all the routes, and then eventually we'll get, like, the true ending. Oh. So I will pick this up another time. See ya!